Hello goblins, ghouls, and ghosts. I'm Jessie Quinn from Cup of Books, and today we're talking about Sharp Teeth by Toby Barlow. Now, I couldn't dedicate an entire month to reviewing books about monsters without talking about werewolves, at least once. Sharp Teeth by Toby Barlow is a novel about warring werewolf gangs in Los Angeles, California. It's written in free verse, which means the novel is more or less an epic poem. Some examples of epic poems that you may be familiar with include The Odyssey and Beowulf. This novel has a huge cast of characters and is full of convoluted subplots, some more compelling than others. When it comes to the characters who are werewolves, I enjoyed them a lot more than I enjoyed the human characters. They actually felt like people, more than the people felt like people. They also had the whole werewolf thing going for them, which in and of itself kept me interested. Really, the only human character I felt any attachment towards was Bonnie, a woman who ends up adopting one of the werewolves thinking he's a dog. But I'll get to that. These werewolves are different. Let me explain. Traditional werewolves are people who suffer a terrible curse or affliction that causes them to transform into giant, rabid, wolf-like creatures every full moon. Their transformation into their furrier form is usually depicted as quite painful. But in contemporary werewolf fiction, I have seen more and more werewolf characters who can transform at will, and whose transformations are actually pleasurable, even freeing experiences. This is the case in Sharp Teeth. The werewolves in this novel can transform whenever they please, and for some of the characters, their transformations give them a greater sense of control over their lives. This begs the question, what makes the werewolves in Sharp Teeth werewolves and not shapeshifters? Despite the fact that the werewolves can transform at will, and despite the fact that they're described as looking more like dogs than, well, wolves, there's still a pain mixed up in the pleasure of their transformation. For some, the pain is emotional. They feel isolated or separated from the humans they care about because they can transform into wolves. For others, it's a physical pain, like transforming, at least for the first time, hurts. Also, the violence running through this book harkens back to traditional werewolf tropes. They not only kill people, oh no, they devour them. The novel itself starts with a quote from Werewolves of London. "His hair was perfect." Yes, these werewolves are different, but I never felt that the differences made me question whether or not these were werewolves. For the most part, I thoroughly enjoyed the werewolves in this novel, with the exception of the awful gender dynamics happening in the packs. In the packs, the promise of sex or the threat of celibacy is used to motivate the men who are werewolves into getting shit done. These dynamics position the women who are werewolves as sexual objects above being actual people. Even stepping away from the gender dynamics for a moment, I just didn't really feel like the women characters were given good subplots. Bonnie, who I said I would get back to and I am, is not a werewolf, she's a human, but I actually liked her subplot the most out of the characters who were women. I spent most of the novel incredibly frustrated with the way Bonnie was treated as a character, but the payoff to her storyline was a good payoff for me. It worked. I really liked the format of this novel, and yes, a lot of that has to do with the fact that it was an epic poem about werewolves, and well, there's not many of those out there. There are so many beautiful lines in this, but it has problems. Some of the descriptions of people of color just were really not good. They did that thing where they described the person as the Indian instead of the Indian man. Seriously, you just needed one more word. Now that I've talked about the good, the bad, and the furry, would I recommend Sharp Teeth? I think this is one of those novels, because of its very unusual subject matter and format, that if you want to read it, you're gonna read it regardless of what I say in this review. I mean, let's get real, that's how I felt when I heard about it. I just had to read it regardless of what anyone else was saying about it. Because, yeah, it's an epic poem about rival werewolf gangs in LA. That just screams read me, at least to me.